Hey there, how's everybody? In this series of videos, we're gonna learn Numpy library in Python. Numpy is a Python library used for working with arrays. It also has functions for working in domain of linear algebra, Fourier transformation, and matrices. Numpy was created in 2005 by Travis Oliphant. It is an open source project and you can use it freely. Numpy stands for numerical Python. So we are going to see how it works. Okay guys, let's get started. Here in the first line we are importing numpy package as and giving the alias as np, right? If you want to use the any library package, you have to import it. So always remember those things, and you can use the aliasing name method also. So here we are using the aliasing name. So in the next line we are creating array. So we are creating numpy array basically. So which is containing the heterogeneous value, that is the one is first is the string, second is the integer, third is also the integer, right? So, and if we are going to see what is the output is giving, so it's giving output that's containing all the string value. So basically what it's doing is doing the casting, right? It's doing casting, right? By default it will do casting. So if in the next line we are seeing the same thing. So there is a heterogeneous value is there. First is the integer, second value is the integer, 3.0 is the float number, right? And if we are going to see the what is the output here, the all the values converted into the float. So by default it's converted everything into the float and perform the upcasting here, right? So if you not define the data type of the value that you want, it will by default it will perform the casting and it will convert all the value into the some value, some data type, other data types. So we have to remember those things. In the next line we are seeing how to create multi-dimensional array, right? So we have the array that 1D array, 2D array, 3D array, 4D array. So you can create it like the 10D array, so 100 array, 100D array. That doesn't matter, right? But the thing is like how we can create it. So there is a method. So this is the method you can create it, the 2D array, right? So how we are going to know that it's a 2D array? So there is a two big bracket in the starting, right? There is two big bracket in the starting, and so that means this is the 2D array. So in the zeroth position, 1 and 2 values are storing. In the first position, 3 and 4 values there, right? And the zero indices, there is two position, 0 and 1, right? So on the 0 is 1 and on the first is 2. So similarly we can create the 3D array, similarly we can create the 4D array by performing the same methods, right? So here is the 3 bracket inside, so you can say it's a 3D array, right? There is also another shortcut method that we can use and to perform to, to get the n dimensional array, and you can simply define the dimension here, right? So here we are defining the n dimension equals 5. So it has created one dimensional array, that is the least, right? It's created one dimensional array into the 5-dimensional array, converted, right? It's converted. So if suppose like if you are giving here 3, so it will convert 3. So if you want to convert it into 2D arrays, it will convert it into the 2D array. So you can convert it in any dimension basically. So this is the easiest method, but you will get to understand how to use this, how to manipulate it by playing with this function, right? So it's not like you can you have seen this how it works, you will memorize it and everything is fine. You have to play with it to understand the the back end things, how it's working, not the proper backend things you need to know, but you will at least understand how to manipulate the data, how to the small things, right? How to manipulate the small data, how to get the desired output, so, these things, right? So there is one data type in the array that you can define, like the complex. So you have heard the different data types like the integer, string, right? The float. This is different kind of data types. But here in the NumPy, we have another data type called complex. What is complex data type? Actually, complex data type is the combination of real number and imaginary number, right? Basically, this is this thing we have studied in the, I think, the 11th, right? So what is the real number? Here is the real number is 1, 2, 3. What is the imaginary number? Imaginary number is j. This is the imaginary number. So it's basically what is the complex number? It's a combination of real number and imaginary number. So you have defined that. So the output should be the complex number. So it's converted all the elements into complex number. So similar way, if you define the the data type equals string, it will convert in similar. If you convert data type equals integer, it will convert everything into integer. So similarly, if you define everything data type, you want data type should be the float number, it will convert everything into float, right? So similarly, you can convert everything into string, right? So the next line we have the mat function. So what is the use of the mat function? Mat function basically used to create the obviously the matrix, right? So you can, using that you can create the matrix, like the array function you use to create the array things, and the mat function is used to create the matrix. So here I have shown you how to create the matrix. So there is a semicolon, you can see, right? There is semicolon, that means it's telling the mat function that there is a break. There is a break in between 1, 2 and 3, 4. So it's, you can see, like it's divided and it's converted into the 2D function, right? So you can use this kind of things, and if you want to know more about that function, you can click shift and tab. You can click shift and tab, and everything will be like here, that what is the mat function do, and what is the the value is taking inside it, how it's everything is there, right? So you can see here how it's working, how you can use it, right? That's the thing. Always remember to click. If you don't know about the function and you want to know, you can use shift tab, and you will get to know what is the function and how to use it, right? So there is another function called as array, right? So as array is nothing but it's a same. As array and array both are same. It's a similar, not almost like equal, but yeah, it's a similar function. It's perform the similar task. It's like the array. So you can use array function, or you can use as array function. That's fine, right? So it's no need to explain anything, right? Here it's basically the array also is converting a list into the numpy array and numpy or .nd array, and if you use the as array, it will do the same thing. It will come and convert the the list into the numpy.nd array. So that's the both are doing the same thing. So you can use whatever you want. You can use either array function, or you can use either the as array function. It depends on you. And using the type function, you can check the type of the the value, like, or the element, whatever you are saying. You can say it's what is the data type of this? It's a numpy dot array, because it's inside the array, and using the array, it's array, what it do, it will convert list into a numpy.nd array, right? So it's doing the same thing. And another thing, if you are defining the data types, it will convert that thing already shown you, that if you want to convert all the value into one data types, you can define it like the so how it's defined here, that d type equals integer, d type equals float, d type equals string. So everything is converted into that thing. So d type equals integer, everything is converted into integer. D type equals float, everything is converted into float. D type equals string, everything is converted into string. So you can use this functionality is giving here. And if you will not define, then it will do the, if you are using the heterogeneous element, it will by default it will do the casting, either the downcasting or upcasting. So by default it will perform that action. So you can, if you want to control that thing, you can define it by using d type. So basically these things. So the next function here is from function. So inside the from function, we are we have defined one anonymous function. So if anybody if you know a little bit Python, and so you know what is about what's these things, right? So this is basically anonymous function. What is anonymous function? Anonymous function are those function which has no name, you can say, right? Which has no name. So lambda here x y. So what it's doing basically, right? So it's comparing the indices. So x y. So it's comparing the indices of the 2 into 2 square matrices and giving the result. So it's comparing is like what? It will is doing the boolean. It will give you the boolean expression, right? Likewise, so a boolean value it will give you in the output. So how is converting? So see here, if you know the how to in the array, the everything is positioned, basically the indices in the 2D array or 1D array. So in the array, the position starts with the 0, right? 0, then 1, 2 and 3, right? Likewise it's going 4, 5, 6. So here also, like, it's the 0. This is the position called 0. It's the first 1D, right? 0. Second, it's the first position is always 0, right? 0. Second position is 1. Again is here the the row wise is a 0. It's a column wise is a 0 and 1. Row wise is a 0 and 1. So it's checking whether 0 equals 0. Yes, true, right? It's true. Whether 0 equals 1, no, 0 is not equals to 1, right? So it's false. 1 equals 0, no, 1 is not equal to 0, so false. 1 equals 1, yes, true, right? So it's likewise it has done. And if you want to know more about how it's used, how it's working, then you can use the shift tab, and you can play with this function little bit, and you will get to use to that how you can use it. So we have done the addition also, subtraction also. We can do anything like the addition. So how is doing, like the 0 and 1, right? Here it's a 0 and 1. So 0 0 0 plus 0 0 0 plus 1 1 0 sorry 1 plus 0 1 1 plus 1 2. So actually I'm not able to see because I cannot write it here, but you need to understand that the first position is always 0, second position, this position is 1. So this position is in the column wise 0, and this position is in the column wise 1, right? So in the row wise, this is the 0th position, this is the 1st position. Accordingly it's performing all the tasks. So here also it's like doing the same thing. So you can practice little bit, and you will understand how it's performing. So there is another function. So there is one problem. So if you want to concatenate everything, suppose you have the multiple arrays, and if you want to concatenate all the arrays and want to create one array, right? So how you will do? So for that thing we have the one method. Using that method you can do. So here you can write the np.core.records.from arrays, and you can write the the number of array whatever the array you have. We have the three array, a1, a2 and a3. So we had written, you can write it for whatever the array you have created, you can write it. And in the names you can write the how many array you have, right? You can denote it using the pqr, you can denote using mnl, pq, whatever you want. You can write your name, you can write my name, that doesn't matter. So that's the kind of denotion, it's a denoting, right? It's that about this array, right? So inside this array, so how is doing the concatenation? It will do the concatenation vertically, that means column wise. So 1x4, right? 1 comma x comma 4, 2 comma 2 7 5, 2 comma 7 5, 3y6, 3y6. So it's how is concatenating, how is combining? It's combining vertically, or you can say the column wise, right? Not the row wise, it's column wise, right? So if so you have to remember these things if you are performing this function, and if you are using this method, it will always concatenate vertically or column wise. You should remember these things. And it also by default it will obviously explain the what is the data type inside it, and this is the thing. So basically this 1 comma x comma 4 is representing p. Sorry, this is representing on the 0th position, right? And p x4 is representing pqr, right? It's pqr. Again pqr, inside there pqr. So it's basically the denotation kind of thing. So here you can see, like, we are printing the z is a array that we got after concatenation of the multiple arrays. And we want the, here suppose we want to see then the first position, what is on the 0th indices, what is p. So on the 0th position, this is the 0, right? 1 comma x comma 4, this is on the 0th position. What is p? 1, right? So you can see, if we'll see the, what is the q? It's x. What is r? It's 4, right? So similarly, if you want whatever value you want, you can get it, right? So if you will change the here indexes, and you will see, like, in the first position, what value of in the first position? 2, 7 and 5, right? What is the value of r here? Is 5, right? So it's printing 5. There is another function called arrange. So it's a related, I think you have heard about the range function. If you have studied a little, or if you know a little bit of Python, then you know the range function, right? It's giving the random value between the two values, right? And if you are giving the step size, then it will perform likewise. So here also, in Numpy, similar to range function in the Python, there is a function called arrange, right? Arrange function is doing the similar task. There is one difference between them, that the step size that you can define in the range function, that should be the integer. Actually, that must be the integer, but in the arrange function Numpy, you can give the step size of the float, so it will be fine with that. It will it will print the number, the float wise and likewise. But if you will do the same thing, if you want to get the number, and if you are giving the step size, the float number other than the integer, then it will throw you there. So we are showing that thing also right here. So we are using the list, and we are using the step size 2.3, and it's throwing there, right? Float object cannot be interpreted as an integer. So what's that showing the error, right? So this is the one difference, and other things I think it's almost similar. So you can use it like the range function only. but remember the difference, because in the numpy it's a little bit different, right? So there is another function called line space. What is doing the line space? It's printing the number between the two number, right? So it's almost like the range function, but yeah, so it's printing between the two number, but the random number. So how many numbers you want, you can write it here like the 5. So it's a 5 number, it will print between 1 and 5. You can print 50 number also if you want to print. It will print the 50 number between 1 and 5, and by default it will include the 5. That means the upper bound number, right? It will include the upper bound number 5. If you want to remove that, you can use the you can use endpoint equals false, and it will not include the upper bound, or it will exclude the upper bound number, that is 5. And you want to see, if you want to suppose, if you want to see the step size, how is taking the step size, then you can use the ret step equals true. Okay, then you can see the the step size here. So for today's class, and this is fine. We'll see we will see the another function in the next class.